The signal. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the central observation deck of the Mauna Kea Observatory, her eyes fixed on the holographic display floating before her. The signal had appeared 3 months ago, a perfectly structured series of prime numbers repeating in a pattern too precise to be natural. After decades of searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, humanity had finally received its answer. But it wasn't the signal itself that kept her awake at night. It was what they'd discovered hidden within its complex mathematical structure. Coordinates for a meeting point, along with specifications for a ship that could make the journey. The aliens weren't just saying hello. They were extending an invitation. "The latest quantum calculations are ready," Dr. Chen called out Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, his dark eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of his workstation. "The energy requirements for the gravitic drive are even higher than we initially estimated." Sarah nodded, pulling up the new data alongside the signal's original specifications. The alien blueprint described a propulsion system that defied current understanding of physics, a drive capable of manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. Yet somehow, buried within the signal's mathematical poetry, were the keys to making it work. "They're testing us," Sarah murmured, more to herself than her colleague. "The specifications aren't just instructions. They're a puzzle. They want to see if we can solve it." The global response to the signal had been swift and unprecedented. For the first time in human history, every major nation had pooled their resources and expertise into a single project. The construction of humanity's first true starship. They named it the Athena, after the goddess of wisdom and strategic warfare. A fitting name, Sarah thought, for humanity's ambassador to the stars. High above Earth's atmosphere, the Athena was taking shape. Its construction had united the finest minds from every field. Physicists, engineers, linguists, and diplomats all working in concert. The ship's hull incorporated metamaterials that could absorb or redirect energy. Its quantum computers could process information faster than any system ever built, and its artificial intelligence was the most sophisticated ever developed. But it was the heart of the ship, the gravitic drive, that represented humanity's greatest achievement. Sarah and her team had spent countless sleepless nights decoding the alien specifications, testing theories, and pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source, a graduate student's thesis on quantum entanglement patterns in black hole formation. "Dr. Chen," Marcus called out again, his voice tight with excitement. "Look at these readings from the latest drive test." Sarah moved to his station, her breath catching as she analyzed the data. The test had produced a stable microscopical distortion in spacetime, exactly as the alien specifications had predicted. It was working. "Send this to the construction team immediately," she ordered, already reaching for her comm unit to contact the project director. "We need to begin final integration testing." As she made the call, Sarah's mind wandered to the bigger questions that had plagued her since the signal's discovery. Why had the aliens chosen this method of contact? Why provide humanity with the means to reach them, rather than simply coming to Earth? The signal's complexity suggested a civilization far more advanced than humanity, yet they seemed content to wait and let humans come to them. The next few weeks passed in a blur of final preparations. The Athena's systems were tested and retested, its crew selected from the finest pilots, scientists, and diplomats Earth had to offer. Sarah herself had been chosen as the ship's chief science officer, a position that filled her with equal parts pride and trepidation. Standing in the shuttle that would take her to the Athena, Sarah watched Earth grow smaller below her. The blue marble that had been humanity's cradle for millions of years seemed simultaneously fragile and resilient from this distance. They were about to take their first real steps into the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. The Athena itself was a sight to behold. Nearly 2 kilometers in length, its sleek obsidian hull seemed to drink in the starlight. Unlike traditional spacecraft designs, its shape was organic, almost fluid, optimized by AI algorithms to work in harmony with the gravitic drive's spacetime distortions. Captain Helena Santos was waiting when Sarah arrived at the bridge. The Brazilian commander had a reputation for both brilliant tactical thinking and diplomatic finesse, qualities that had made her the unanimous choice to lead humanity's first interstellar mission. Final systems check is complete, Helena announced as Sarah took her station. All departments report ready for departure. Dr. Chen, is the drive prepared for its first full power activation? Sarah's fingers danced across her console, double-checking the quantum matrices and field harmonics. Drive is nominal, Captain. All parameters within specified tolerances. Helena nodded, her expression serious, but her eyes bright with barely contained excitement. Then let's not keep our host waiting. Navigation, set course for the provided coordinates. Dr. Chen, begin drive startup sequence. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, each person acutely aware of their role in this historic moment. As the gravitic drive powered up, Sarah monitored the energy readings carefully. The alien specifications had been precise. Any deviation could be catastrophic. A low hum filled the ship as power flowed into the drive's exotic matter core. On Sarah's displays, space-time itself began to twist and fold around the Athena. The stars outside seemed to shift and stretch as normal physics gave way to something far stranger. Drive is at full power, Sarah reported, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Field geometry is stable. We're ready. Helena took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the main view screen. Then let's make history. Helm, engage drive. Reality itself seemed to flex as the Athena's gravitic drive activated fully for the first time. There was a moment of impossible tension, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then, with a flash of light that wasn't quite light, the ship slipped between the folds of space-time, carrying humanity's hopes and dreams toward its first meeting with alien intelligence. As the Athena traveled through the twisted space between normal reality, Sarah couldn't help but wonder what they would find at their destination. The signal had given them the means to make this journey, but its purpose remained a mystery. Were they heading toward friendship or something else entirely? Whatever awaited them, humanity had accepted the challenge. They had solved the puzzle hidden in the signal, built something that should have been impossible, and now they were about to prove they were ready to join the galactic community. The real test, Sarah suspected, was just beginning. Diplomatic dance. The Athena emerged from its faster-than-light journey at the edge of an unfamiliar star system. A binary star cast golden and crimson light across the ship's obsidian hull, but it wasn't the stellar display that commanded the crew's attention. Waiting for them was a sight that made even the most seasoned officers catch their breath. A fleet of vessels hung in the void before them, their designs as varied as they were alien. Some resembled crystalline structures that caught and reflected the binary star's light in impossible patterns. Others appeared almost organic, their surfaces rippling with what looked like living metal. At the center of the formation waited what could only be the Confederation's flagship, a massive structure that seemed to be built from interlocking rings of energy rather than physical matter. Multiple signals incoming, announced Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka, her fingers moving swiftly across her holographic interface. They're broadcasting on 17 different frequencies simultaneously, each using a different mathematical-based system. Captain Santos straightened in her command chair. Another test. They want to see how quickly we can adapt to multiple forms of communication. Dr. Chen, your analysis. Sarah was already deep in the data, her augmented reality display filling with cascading symbols. The mathematical principles align with those found in the original signal. But there's something else. She paused, eyes widening. Captain, each transmission contains a fragment of a larger message. They're not just testing our ability to receive, they're testing our ability to synthesize. Like a puzzle box, Helena mused. Lieutenant Tanaka, coordinate with Dr. Chen. Let's show them humanity knows how to solve puzzles. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, piecing together the fragmentary transmissions. Sarah's mind raced as patterns emerged from the mathematical chaos. The aliens weren't just communicating. They were demonstrating their own technological sophistication, while evaluating humanity's response. Within minutes, they had their answer. The combined message resolved into a clear set of coordinates within the system, along with a formal greeting in multiple formats, including one based on pure mathematics that matched the original signal structure. "They're inviting us to a specific position," Helena observed. "Navigation. Plot a course but maintain our current distance for now." "Dr. Chen, what can you tell me about their ships?" Sarah studied the sensor readings with growing fascination. "Their technology is elegant. Each species seems to have developed along entirely different technological paths. The crystalline ships are utilizing some form of quantum crystallography for computation. The organic-looking vessels appear to be using biological processors. And the flagship," she shook her head in wonder, "it's containing and manipulating pure plasma in ways that should be impossible." "Yet they sent us instructions for building the gravitic drive," Helena noted. "Technology that doesn't match any of their visible approaches." Interesting. The implications weren't lost on anyone. The Confederation had deliberately guided humanity toward developing technology that none of them appeared to use themselves. But why? Helena made her decision. "Send our response using all 17 frequencies. Confirm receipt of their coordinates and signal our intention to approach. But first," a slight smile crossed her face, "let's add our own layer to this diplomatic dance. Dr. Chen, do you still have access to that quantum entanglement theorem that helped crack the drive specifications?" Sarah caught the captain's meaning immediately. Yes. We could use it to create a 18th channel, one based on principles we developed ourselves rather than just responding to their established frequencies." "Make it happen," Helena ordered. "Let's show them humanity can do more than just follow instructions." The next hour was a flurry of activity as the crew prepared their response. They transmitted their acknowledgement across all 17 alien frequencies, but also established their new quantum channel. The message they sent on this frequency was unique, a mathematical proof demonstrating how they had solved the gravitic drive puzzle, along with proposed improvements to the design based on their own research. The response was immediate. A new signal burst from the Confederation flagship, this one carrying what could only be described as excitement. The crystalline ships shifted position, their faceted surfaces catching the light in what almost seemed like applause. The organic vessels pulsed with patterns of bioluminescence that spoke of surprise and interest. "They didn't expect that," Helena said softly. "They didn't expect us to innovate beyond their test." The Confederation's next transmission confirmed her assessment. They requested an immediate conference, not at the originally specified coordinates, but aboard their flagship. More surprisingly, they asked specifically for Dr. Chen to accompany Captain Santos. "They recognized your contribution to the drive improvements," Helena told Sarah. "I think we just changed the nature of this first contact." As preparations began for the meeting, Sarah found herself studying the alien fleet with new eyes. The Confederation had clearly expected to find a young species taking its first tentative steps into galactic society. Instead, they had encountered a civilization that could not only match their technological challenges but build upon them. The shuttle trip to the Confederation flagship was an exercise in sensory overload. As they drew closer, Sarah realized the energy rings weren't contained by any visible structure. They were self-sustaining patterns in space-time itself, more akin to permanent whirlpools in reality than traditional construction. Their landing bay was equally remarkable, a space that seemed to fold into existence around them as they approached, as if reality itself was making room for their arrival. A delegation waited for them, representing 5 distinct species that demonstrated the true diversity of the Confederation. The being that stepped forward to greet them defied easy description. It appeared to be composed of overlapping fields of light and shadow, its form suggesting both great age and impossible complexity. When it spoke, its words were translated simultaneously through multiple channels, including the quantum frequency humanity had established. "Welcome, children of Earth," it said, its tone carrying what might have been amusement. Or perhaps we should say, "Welcome, colleagues. You have surprised us. Something that has not happened in a very long time. Helena stepped forward, her diplomatic training evident in her precise movements and careful words. The honor is ours, though I admit to some confusion. You guided us to build technology unlike any we see in your fleet. Why? The light shadow being seemed to ripple with something like laughter. Because, Captain Santos, we wanted to see what you would do with it. Most young species simply follow instructions. They build what they are shown, use what they are given. It gestured to Sarah. You looked at our gift and immediately began thinking of ways to improve it. That is rare. That is valuable. Sarah found her voice. The signal. It wasn't just an invitation, was it? It was an assessment. Indeed, Dr. Chen. We have watched many species rise to join galactic society. Some come in peace, others in war. Some seek to learn, others to dominate. But few, very few, demonstrate true innovation. The ability to not just use technology, but to understand it, improve it, make it their own. The being's form shifted, suggesting a more serious aspect. We have been seeking such a species for a very long time. As they were led deeper into the impossible structure of the flagship, Sarah's mind raced with implications. The Confederation hadn't just been looking for new members. They had been searching for equals, partners who could help them break new ground, explore new possibilities. Humanity's first step into galactic society had become something far more significant than anyone had imagined. They hadn't just passed the Confederation's test, they had rewritten it entirely. Cultural exchange. The next several days aboard the Confederation flagship challenged everything humanity thought they knew about civilization itself. The ship's internal structure was in constant flux, spaces appearing and disappearing as needed, shaped by the collective thoughts and needs of its inhabitants. Sarah found herself struggling to maintain her scientific objectivity in the face of technology that bordered on magic. Their hosts, who called themselves the Luminous, had assembled a diverse council of species to interact with the human delegation. Each brought their own perspective, their own technological marvels, and their own questions about humanity. But it was the questions they didn't ask that began to trouble Sarah. During a particularly intense discussion about the gravitic drive modifications, Sarah noticed something odd. The crystalline beings, the Vrith, became noticeably agitated when she suggested combining their quantum crystallography with human theories on dark matter manipulation. The organic ship species, the Meridae, abruptly changed the subject when Helena proposed integrating biological computing with artificial intelligence. They're working in isolation, Sarah whispered to Helena during a brief recess. Each species has developed their technology along strictly separated paths. They don't combine approaches. Helena nodded slowly, her diplomatic training helping her piece together the puzzle. It's not just their technology. Have you noticed how they interact? Each species maintains its distinct cultural identity. There's cooperation, yes, but no real integration. The revelation sparked a deeper understanding of the Confederation's interest in humanity. Earth's greatest strength had always been its diversity, not just in its people, but in its approaches to solving problems. Humans had never hesitated to combine different scientific disciplines, to blend seemingly incompatible theories into new solutions. Their observations were confirmed later that day during a meeting with the Luminous Council. The light shadow being who had first greeted them, now identified as Elder Nexus, brought up humanity's proposed improvements to the gravitic drive. Your modifications are concerning, Nexus stated, its form flickering with what might have been unease. They draw upon multiple technological disciplines simultaneously. This is not our way. With respect, Sarah replied, careful to maintain a diplomatic tone. Innovation often occurs at the intersection of different fields. The gravitic drive itself was only possible because we combined quantum mechanics with gravitational theory and biological computing principles. A ripple of what could only be described as discomfort passed through the assembled council members. A Vrith representative spoke, its crystalline form refracting light in patterns that suggested agitation. Such combinations are unstable, unpredictable. Each technological path must remain pure to be properly understood and controlled. Helena stepped forward, her voice carrying the weight of command yet remaining respectful. On Earth, we have a saying, "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." Our history is built on the foundation of different cultures and ideas coming together to create something new. And that is precisely what concerns us. Nexus responded. Your species' tendency toward amalgamation is unprecedented. It makes you unpredictable. It makes us adaptable, Helena countered. Every major breakthrough in human history has come from bringing together different perspectives, different approaches. We don't see boundaries between disciplines. We see opportunities for synthesis. The discussion continued for hours, becoming increasingly philosophical. The Confederation had achieved peace and stability through a careful system of separation, each species developing along its own path, sharing resources and knowledge, but never truly mixing their approaches. It was safe, predictable, controlled. But it was also, Sarah realized, stagnant. During a demonstration of human scientific methodology, Sarah worked with a young Merida scientist named Zeph. Unlike the others, Zeph showed genuine curiosity about human approaches to problem solving. Your species thinks in patterns I have never encountered, Zeph admitted, its bioluminescent patterns shifting with excitement. You see connections where we see only barriers. It is disturbing yet fascinating. Sarah smiled, recognizing the kindred scientific spirit. That's the beauty of it, though. Every barrier is just a puzzle waiting to be solved. Every limitation is an opportunity to innovate. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Earth. The quantum channel they had established crackled with activity as data poured in. Sarah's eyes widened as she processed the information. "Captain," she called out, her voice tight with urgency. "The improvements we propose to the gravitic drive, Earth's scientists have taken them further. They've found a way to integrate all three major Confederation technological approaches into a single, unified system. The potential applications are extraordinary." The news sent shockwaves through the Confederation Council. Some reacted with alarm, others with fascination. The careful balance they had maintained for millennia was being challenged by human innovation. Elder Nexus's form shifted rapidly through various patterns of light and shadow. This is precisely what we feared, and precisely what we hoped for. Your species does not merely adapt, you transform. You take separate pieces and forge them into something entirely new. Helena stood tall, her voice firm but diplomatic. That's who we are. We don't just accept differences, we celebrate them. We don't just solve problems, we revolutionize the very way problems are approached. If that makes us unpredictable, then perhaps some unpredictability is exactly what the galaxy needs. The Confederation stood at a crossroads. Humanity's approach to science and culture challenged their most fundamental beliefs about progress and stability. The careful isolation of different technological and cultural paths had brought them peace, but it had also limited their growth. As the council chamber erupted in debate, Sarah caught Zeph's eye. The young Meridae's bioluminescence pulsed with patterns suggesting both excitement and hope. Perhaps they weren't the only ones ready for change. Crisis point. The crisis began with a scream of tortured metal and crystal. Deep within the Confederation flagship, where human engineers had been permitted to study the vessel's plasma containment systems, something went catastrophically wrong. The ship's living metal skin rippled with distress as alarm signals pulsed through its neural network. Multiple containment failures in Ring Section 7, Zeph reported, their bioluminescent patterns flashing urgent warnings. The plasma field harmonics are destabilizing. If they collapse completely, they didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew that an uncontrolled plasma breach would destroy not just the flagship, but every ship in the surrounding space. The Confederation Council chamber erupted in chaos. The Vrith representatives vibrated in crystalline terror, while the Meriday's biological ships began pulling away from the flagship. Elder Nexus's form flickered erratically as they attempted to maintain order. "This is precisely what we feared," thundered the Vrith Elder, their crystalline voice sharp with accusation. "Human interference with our established systems has brought us to the brink of disaster. Their chaotic methods are exactly what might save us all." Helena interrupted, her voice cutting through the panic. "Dr. Chen, what are we looking at?" Sarah's fingers flew across her portable interface, analyzing the cascade of data. "The plasma containment fields are degrading because of a quantum resonance we didn't account for. The Confederation's isolated systems are fighting each other instead of working together." She looked up, her eyes bright with sudden understanding. "Just like all of you." "Explain," Elder Nexus demanded, their form stabilizing slightly. "Your technological isolation means your systems don't know how to adapt when they interact in unexpected ways," Sarah explained rapidly. "The plasma containment uses Luminhook's energy manipulation, but it's housed within Vrith crystalline structures and monitored by Meriday organic sensors. They're all incredibly advanced systems, but they've never been truly integrated. They're like different languages without a translator." Another tremor rocked the ship. Warning signals intensified. "Containment failure in 15 minutes, Zeph announced, their patterns shifting to deep ultraviolet with stress. "We need to stop trying to force these systems to work separately," Sarah insisted. "Captain, remember what we discovered about the gravitic drive? How we improved it by combining principles from different fields." Helena nodded sharply. "What do you need?" "Everything. Everyone. We need to break down these barriers right now." Sarah turned to the Council. "We need representatives from every species working together. Not just sharing information, truly collaborating. No more technological purity. No more isolation. Either we solve this together, or we die separately." There was a moment of hesitation as centuries of tradition warred with immediate survival. Then Elder Nexus's form brightened with decision. "Do it." What followed was unlike anything the Confederation had ever seen. Under Sarah and Helena's coordination, a mixed team assembled rapidly. Vrith crystallographers worked alongside Merida bioengineers, their combined knowledge guided by Luminug's energy theorists. Humans acted as bridges between disciplines, their natural tendency toward synthesis helping translate between different scientific approaches. "The crystalline lattice," a Vrith scientist chimed. "It could be reconfigured to match the plasma's harmonic frequency." "Yes," Zeph's patterns pulsed with excitement. "And our organic sensors could adapt in real time to maintain the balance. If," Sarah added, "the Luminugs can modify their energy fields to create a dynamic feedback loop between all three systems." The solution took shape with remarkable speed once the barriers between disciplines fell. The Vrith restructured their crystals at the quantum level, creating a perfect resonance chamber for the plasma. Meriday organic technology provided constant microsecond adjustments, while Luminug's energy manipulation held it all together in a delicate dance of power and precision. 5 minutes to containment failure, Zeph reported tensely. Sarah looked at Helena, who nodded. "Do it." The integrated system activated. For a terrifying moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, the ship's tremors began to subside. The warning signals faded one by one. "Plasma containment stabilizing," Zeph announced, their patterns shifting to colors of relief and amazement. "The field harmonics, they're stronger than before, more efficient. This is unprecedented." The crisis had passed, but its impact was just beginning to ripple through the Confederation. Elder Nexus approached Sarah and Helena, their form shimmering with what might have been humility. "We have grown complacent in our isolation," they admitted. "In trying to preserve the purity of our separate paths, we have forgotten the power of walking them together. The very thing that made us fear humanity," another council member added, "may be exactly what we needed. Your chaos brings creation. Your unpredictability breeds innovation." Helena smiled diplomatically. We don't see it as chaos. We see it as synthesis. Every problem is an opportunity to bring people and ideas together in new ways. Perhaps, Elder Nexus mused, it is time for the Confederation to evolve, to learn what humanity has clearly never forgotten, that true strength lies not in the perfection of individual paths, but in the courage to forge new ones together. As the council chamber filled with excited discussion about the possibilities this new approach opened up, Sarah found Zeph at her side. I never imagined, the young Meriday admitted, that combining our technologies could create something greater than their sum. How do you humans live with such constant change? Sarah smiled. We thrive on it. Change means growth. Growth means possibility. And possibility. She gestured at the now strengthened flagship around them. Possibility is what makes us human. New horizons. 3 months after the plasma containment crisis, the Confederation had changed more than it had in the previous 1,000 years. The great flagship, once a symbol of carefully separated technological paths, had become a living laboratory of innovation and integration. Where once distinct species worked in isolation, now mixed teams of researchers eagerly explored new possibilities. Sarah stood in what had once been a traditional Vrith crystalline laboratory, now transformed into something entirely new. Organic sensors derived from Meriday technology merged seamlessly with crystalline computing arrays, while Luminug's energy fields created interfaces that all species could use. Human engineering tied it all together in ways that would have been unthinkable just months ago. The latest test results are remarkable, Zeph announced, their bioluminescent patterns showing excitement as they entered the lab. Since the crisis, the young Meriday have become one of the strongest advocates for technological integration. The new hybrid drives are showing efficiency ratings 300% higher than our previous best. Helena, who had been overseeing a diplomatic briefing nearby, joined them. The implications go far beyond just technology, she noted. Every successful integration project proves that we're stronger together than apart. The old fears are falling away. She was right. The crisis had shattered centuries of isolation, but what emerged from those broken barriers was something extraordinary. The Vrith, once adamant about maintaining the purity of their crystalline technology, now eagerly collaborated with Meriday biotechnologists to create living crystal computers that adapted and grew. The Luminugs had discovered that their energy manipulation became vastly more precise when guided by hybrid control systems. Elder Nexus has called for a full council session, Helena continued. They're ready to discuss the proposal. Sarah felt her heart rate increase. The proposal, formally titled the Terra Protocol, but informally known as the Innovation Initiative, was humanity's most ambitious suggestion yet. It called for the creation of a new kind of space station, one that would serve as both a research center and a cultural exchange hub. Unlike traditional Confederation facilities, it would be specifically designed to encourage the mixing of species, technologies, and ideas. The council chamber had changed too. Where once each species sat in carefully separated sections, now the room was arranged in integrated groups, with representatives from different species sitting together based on their areas of expertise rather than their biology. Elder Nexus's form was steady and bright as they called the session to order. We have reviewed the Terra Protocol extensively, they began. 3 months ago, such a proposal would have been instantly rejected as dangerous and destabilizing. Now, their form shifted to patterns suggesting deep satisfaction. Now we recognize it as the next step in our evolution as a civilization. The announcement was met with widespread approval. Even the most conservative council members had been swayed by the undeniable results of integration. Ships were faster, shields were stronger, and communications were clearer. But more importantly, the fear of change had been replaced by excitement about possibilities. There is, however, one modification we would suggest, Elder Nexus continued. Rather than building a new station, we propose transforming our flagship into this new center of innovation. It has already become a symbol of successful integration. Let us make that transformation complete. Sarah and Helena exchanged surprised looks. The flagship was the Confederation's most precious vessel, representing millennia of history and tradition. To repurpose it as a center of radical innovation was a powerful statement. Furthermore, Elder Nexus added, their form brightening, "We request that Earth establish a permanent diplomatic and scientific presence here. You have shown us that true progress comes not from perfecting isolation, but from embracing connection. We have much still to learn from humanity's approach to—" "What did you call it, Dr. Chen?" "Synthesis." The next few hours were filled with detailed discussions about implementation, but the enthusiasm in the chamber was palpable. Species that had once viewed each other with careful distance now engaged in excited discussions about possibilities. The strict hierarchies of the past were giving way to a more dynamic, collaborative structure. As the session concluded, Sarah found herself standing with Helena and Zeph in one of the flagship's observation chambers. The binary stars painted the room in gold and crimson, but it was the fleet outside that drew their attention. Ships of all species were now stationed in mixed groups rather than separate formations. Some vessels were already undergoing modifications to incorporate integrated technologies. "I never imagined," Zeph mused, their patterns shifting thoughtfully, "that allowing ourselves to change would feel so liberating. We thought we were preserving our strengths through isolation. Instead, we were limiting our potential." Helena nodded. "Change can be frightening, but stagnation is far more dangerous. Humanity learned that lesson through countless challenges and setbacks. Each time we faced extinction, it was our ability to adapt, to combine different approaches and ideas, that saved us." "And now?" Sarah asked, looking out at the transformed fleet. "Now we all move forward together," Elder Nexus answered, their form materializing nearby. "Your species has taught us that the greatest discoveries lie not in the perfection of single paths, but in the uncharted spaces between them. The galaxy is vast, full of mysteries and challenges we cannot yet imagine. We will face them not as separate species maintaining careful distance, but as a truly unified civilization."